in last class also I gave this example. Before you start cooking also, you will check the how much quantity you have put to cook a rice. Yes, for such a small thing we are testing. And when you are developing a project which you are going to host to the society, where the project which you are going to give to the society, and the society is going to use that project, so definitely we have to do the testing. Definitely we have to do the testing. Without testing, if we deploy the project, then the end users or the customers or the users will face a difficulty. Without testing, if you deploy the project during the usage time of the clients, that time they'll face a difficulty. So before we give a project to the customers or to the end users, we need to check our project. Correct now? So developer will develop the project. Even the testing also, it is also a very difficult task, and it is also a lengthy task. It's also a lengthy task. That's why we have to test our project. So I'll start with my class. In last class, I gave the introduction about the syllabus. So in the first module, we have seen we have started with the first module. What is errors? See, errors are part of our daily life. Correct now? When we talk, we do errors, we make errors. When we sleep, when we sing, we make errors. When we eat, we do some mistake. That mistake is nothing but error only, no? When a human is doing some mistake, that mistake is nothing but a error. So intentionally, we are not going to do any mistake. So by mistake, it happens. That happening of a mistake, we call it as a error. That error may happen in our thought also. The error may happen in our action also. In last class, we have seen some of the examples where the error may happen. While speaking also, if I tell number of pens, the listener may understand number of pants, because both the words are almost same. Correct no? Instead of when I am telling number of pens, or number of pans, pan in which we cook, no? So if I tell I have how many number of pans you have at your home, if I ask a question to a listener, then the listener may understand, or the listener may listen like that. How many number of pans you have at your home? Yes, both are same, no? So there is not, in this, when you write a spelling also, there is not much difference. P-A-N-S pans, P-A-N-T-S pans. Sometimes the listener may not listen that T properly. So there also some mistake is happening. This is also nothing but some error. Yes, when we write also, we may do some mistake. When you are in a tennis court, or when you are in a badminton court, while serving, when first person serves a cock, then while serving also he may mistake. Yes, correct no? So when a player is doing a mistake while he is playing, students, my voice is clear now? Yesterday a few students they were telling my voice was breaking. Today is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have any such type of problem, you please tell me, so that I can do something. If you are not understanding, you can stop me immediately. So when we'll come to when a sports person do a mistake in his or in her tennis court or in her badminton court, who will come to know whether they have done a mistake or not? Himself and the coach. Correct no, students? The coach will understand that what mistake the student has done. Similarly, when you write a test, definitely in some answer you do a mistake. Correct no? You do a mistake, then a faculty or the tutor or the instructor will come to know what mistake the students has done. Correct no? So after seeing the mistake, the tutor or the instructor will give the solution, will give the instruction how to resolve those mistakes. Yes, how to resolve those mistakes. They will come to know, they will give the instructions, and based on those instructions, we'll try to rectify and we'll try to resolve those mistakes. Correct, now students? Is we do all this in our process, in our testing process? Yes. And in last class, I gave you, I was explaining this diagram. See, the caption of this diagram, I have given error, faults, failures. Error, faults, failures. See here, is this a diagram is clear? Anybody can, all of you can see the diagram?
We are not able to see the diagram, ma'am.
Now? Now can you see?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, you didn't share the screen.
Ma'am, you didn't present it, ma'am.
Okay. Wait. Is now the screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Now can you see the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the screen is visible clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See students, in this diagram, what you see, before we see this diagram, generally what you do before you write a program, first you take a problem statement. Yes, first we take a problem statement. When we decide a problem statement, definitely we'll be knowing the desired output. Correct, no? Yes, do you agree with me? When we define a problem statement, definitely we will be knowing the desired output. For example, if you want to calculate the simple interest, what is the formula to calculate simple interest? SI is equal to PTR by 100. Correct, no? SI is equal to PTR by 100. When you know the value of P, when you know the value of T, when you know the value of R, then we are going to perform this calculation, that is using a formula SI is equal to PTR by 100. So here what we do is a programmer, see this, you can see the diagram, this with where I'm highlighting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. The programmer will write a program. The programmer will write a code. Yes, correct, no? Then the program will be tested. The program will be tested using the input data. Correct? Yes. The program will be tested using the input data. In this example, what are the input data? P, T, R is the input data. Correct, no? Yes, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
PTR is the input data. So here you can see one more line is coming to this programmer. Correct? Which are the specification? Which are the specification in my problem? The specifications are principal amount, time, and rate of interest. Correct? Yes, these are all the specification of my problem. And when you write a program, the possibility of making mistakes. Correct? No? Nobody will write a program without any errors. At least some minor errors will be there. Some maybe syntax error, or maybe syntax error or logical error. So some errors will be there. So here in the program, by the input, by whatever the input, if it finds any fault, then what happens? Will we get a desired output? See, all these are connected here. It determines the specification. See, the specification is nothing but the values which I am going to calculate. That is, the specifications are PTR value. The specifications are PTR value. Using this PTR value, we are going to perform the action. That action is nothing but this calculation. So we will observe the behavior. And after observing the behavior, if my program doesn't have any errors, if my program is error free, then finally what happens? Yes, the program behaves as desired. Correct? No? The program is giving the output as I desire. If the program has any fault, then what happens? The program is not giving my desired output. A failure has occurred. Correct, no, students? If you are doing any mistake, though the formula is correct, if you have done any mistake, syntax mistake, then you will not get a desired output. Correct, no? So when you want to get a desired output, your input should be correct. Your program should not have any error. If your program has any error, then the final output will be this. No, the program doesn't behave as I desired. A failure has occurred. Correct, no? Understood this diagram? You want me to repeat this diagram? Yes, students, you want me to repeat this diagram?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, when you write a program, what happens? When you write a program, few may write a program without any errors. Few may write a program with some errors. So intentionally, nobody makes any error. So by mistake, it happens. So the programmer, what the programmer do is, first he writes the program. He writes the program, and based on the specifications. Yes, what are the specifications in my problem? Yes, what are the specifications? What I need to calculate here? I want to calculate simple interest value. For that, I need P value, T value, and R value. Using that formula, I'm going to calculate. These are all my specification. By specification, the programmer will write a program. Yes, you can see the pointer now, where I'm pointing. Yes, students, you can see the pointer where I'm pointing. Now I'm pointing to writes. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So the programmer, based on the specification, the programmer will write a program and test the data with the input value. If your program doesn't have any errors, then it will produce the behavior. Behavior is nothing but his output, the program output, how the program is behaving. If your program doesn't have any errors, then the output will be as we desire. desire. If your program has any fault, then the desired output will be, it will not be according to our desire. A program will occur there will occur a failure. You may face a failure in the program. Correct? Understood? See here.
Yes, ma'am.
Here, observe behavior and desired behavior. Or I'll give one more example. If I ask you to write a program to draw a circle, if I tell you to write a program to draw a circle using the input, whatever the input, the values, using that I write a program, and once I execute a program, then the observed behavior, if it is circle, the observed behavior is nothing but a output. The observed behavior is nothing but a output. If it is not according to the desired output, then the failure may occur. Getting? See, desired behavior is what? A circle. Desired behavior is a circle. If observed behavior and desired behavior both are not same, if they are not same, then the failure may occur. If they are same, then we'll get a success in our program. Getting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, understood? If our observed behavior is same as a desired behavior, then you will get a success in the program. If the observed behavior is not matching with the desired behavior, then you will not get a success in your program. Understood? Understood, students?
Yes, ma'am.
So if my program is not, if my output is not according to the desired behavior, if my program is not giving the output according to my desired behavior, then I should think that some mistake has happened in my program. So I have to test the program. Correct, no? I have to think why my program is not giving a desired output. Why I have faced a failure in my program. I have to test the program. And if my program has any error, then debug the program. Again the same process will start. It will take the input and it will display the output. Again, if the display output is nothing but the observed behavior. If my observed behavior is not matching with the desired behavior, if it is not matching, again I face a failure in the program. If observed behavior and desired behavior both are matching, then my program is success. If both are same, then my program is success. Then no need to do a testing. If I face any error, if my observed output is not matching with the desired output, then I should think that a failure has occurred in my program. Understood, students, why we do testing? See, this diagram tells why we do testing. If my observed behavior is not matching with the desired behavior, then we do testing. Correct? So next we have test automation. Why we go for automation testing? See, as I told, this testing is not a simple task. It is a very lengthy task. Just now I explained you a simple example to calculate simple interest and to find to display a circle using a C program. These two simple examples I gave. If the problem statement is simple, then it is easy for a tester to test the program. If you have a lengthy program, if you have a big projects, real-time projects, that time it is difficult for a test engineer, or if it is difficult for a tester to do testing manually. So that's why we need to go for the automation testing. When we do testing, then we'll come to know that when my desired output is not matching with the observed output, then we'll come to know some error has occurred. So we need to do the testing. So we do the testing. So when we do testing, students, each time we are going to execute the program. Correct? No? If I do some testing, then again I'll execute. Then I'll check whether my desired output is matching with the observed output. If it is not matching, once again I'll do testing. Then again, if it is not matching, so once again I'll do testing. So every time I do testing, so it will take so much of time. So every time, whatever changes I do in the code, I need to test and I need to execute. Correct? If it is a small project, if it is a simple problem statement, then it is easy for anybody to do that. If it is a lengthy project, then it takes so much of time. And execution of many tests can be tiring as well as error prone. So execution of test cases, the tester will get tired, and it will lead to the error. It will lead to the error. That's why to reduce the burden of a test engineer, we go for automation testing. There is a tremendous need for automation testing in software organizations. There is a huge need of automation testing in software companies, in a software organization. In automation testing, we can do GUI testing, we can do input-output device testing, and so on we can do. So that's why we go for automation testing. And in an organization, we will find two persons. Which are those two persons? Tester and developers. Yes, students, you understood now why we are going for automation testing? Want me to repeat? Yes, students, you want me to repeat?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So next we have developer and tester, are two roles in the organization. What the developer will do? The developer will develop a code. See, even development is not a easy task, and even the testing is also not easy task. We may think that the main job will be done by the developer. He will design whole complete code. He will develop a complete code, and the test engineer they will test whether the functionality, whatever the code they have the developer has written, whether it is running properly or working properly or not. Just the test engineer will do that. No, it is not so easy. It is also a very difficult task. He should also has to go through all the code, whatever the code the developer has developed. So the organization has two types of persons, that is a developer and a tester. The developer will develop a code and he executes a program, and the test engineer will test whatever the code developed by the developer. He'll test. See, each and every functionality will be tested by the developer. Tested by the tester. So for example, if the developer has designed registration form for a student for online exam, if that is a program developed by the developer, then the test engineer has to check each and every field. Assume that the first field is Assume that the first field is USN. Assume that the first field is USN. Whether the input field is input text box is taking USN or not. The USN means if you take a USN of our VTU MCA student, then it has a combination of alphabets and digits. Correct, no? It has a combination of alphabets and digits. So it should allow for both. If the text box is not allowing, if the text box is not allowing alphabets, or if the text box is not allowing a digit, then the failure will occur. Correct, no? The failure will occur. Again, the test engineer has to check whether whatever the developer has done, whether he has written the correct code or not. So once he do testing, then again he will execute. He will execute and check. And next he'll come to the next field. The next field may be a name of a student. Then in the next field will be the phone number of a student or date of birth. When we give a date of birth, give a date of birth, the text field should not take the text field. Do you think that the text field should take both alphabet and digits? Yes, students. For date of birth, the text box should take both alphabets and digits, or it should take only the alphabets.
We can take both also, ma'am.
Why?
Yeah, some applications will be like JUN 06 1998, like.
Come again.
Some applications format will be like that, ma'am. So we have to take both also.
Okay, I'll give other examples. See, a few may give if it is 1st January. So you 01 2020. Few may give like that, or few may give 01 Jan 2020. So the end user, the customer, we doesn't know how they want to use the application. So that's why whatever the project we develop, it should be user friendly in whatever manner the customer or the user wants to use. It should be it should take all types of input. So when we go for date of birth, it should allow both alphabets and digits. And next field may be a phone number. The phone number should mobile number. The mobile number should take only only digit. The mobile number should take only digit, and it should not take less than 10 and greater than 10. See, all this is a validation part. This has to this will be taken care by the test engineers. So they will test whether whatever the code the developer has designed, whether it is right or developed, whether it is right or wrong. See, so many times they are doing testing. So that's why we prefer. Sorry, students, there I used black. So that's why we prefer for automation testing. See, in a simple registration form only, so many times we are checking. So many times the tester is checking whether all the fields, whatever the fields we have given, whether it is correct, right or wrong, whether it has done with a proper validation or not. So that's why in an organization, both developer and tester both are very important. Understood, students? Understood?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So next we have software quality. See, not only this software, whatever the products, whatever the items we purchase, we want a good quality product. We want a good quality item. Though it is compared to the ordinary quality, though the cost is 1 or 2 rupees more, we don't bother about a cost. We need a good quality. If the quality is good, then if the quality is good, then the durability of the product is also more. Correct, no? So that's why when we are talking about the software quality, we want a good quality software, because a organization is developing a program or developing an application for the customers. The organization doesn't want to take any chance, doesn't want to compromise with the quality of the software before giving to the customers. So the organization wants to give a good quality product. The organization wants to use a good quality software. So in quality software, there are two types. Or it is categorized into two types, that is software quality and static quality and a dynamic quality. The static quality attributes are structured, maintainable, testable code, and the dynamic quality attribute is reliability, consistency, completeness, correctness, performance, and usability. See, students, the static quality is nothing but a actual code. The static quality is nothing but a actual code. Actual code means whatever the code the developer has written. See, that is fixed. See, whatever the code, what is the meaning of static? It will not change. So in the quality, the attributes of a software quality is the actual code. Actual code is nothing but the code which the developer has developed, or the developer has written that. See, once a code is written, will not do much change for that. See, before we develop a project, we'll design some structure. Based on that structure, we are going to develop a project. See, once we design a project, once we design a structure for the project, will it change every time? Yes, students, will it change every time? Respond. Yes, once we are you getting the link, students? Yes, students. Students, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
See, when we develop a project, before development of project, we'll design a structure. Correct? No, we'll design a structure. No, based on the structure only, we are going to develop a project. You can say a blueprint. Of a structure. Is a blueprint change every time? No, the blueprint will not change every time. So that's why we call it as a static attribute. And the maintainable. Maintainable means what? The maintenance of a project. When we say maintenance, under maintenance, the cost will come. Correct? The resources will come. Correct, no? Yes, students, do you agree
Yes,
with
ma'am.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The cost will come, the resources will come. See, before we start developing a project, all this we decide how much cost or how much finance we want to invest on my project. In the beginning of the project, we will not say 1 crore I want to invest, and at the end I'll not change it to 50 lakh, or I'll not change it to 2 lakhs. So once we decide, it will not change. And even the resources also. The resources may be in the terms of hardware, software, and human resources also. If they appoint 10 person or 10 developer to develop that application, so with the help of only those 10 only, they will develop a application. Maybe in the worst case, the worst case may not happen every time. The worst case may not happen every time. So maybe in the worst case, we may change, but definitely in all the cases, this will not change. Correct? No? You're getting the attributes of static. You're getting this static quality attributes. How it is static, structure, maintainable, testable code. Correct? Yes, students.
Yes, ma'am.
Understanding, no? So
Yes, ma'am.
under maintenance, the resources will come, finance will come. The resources may be hardware, software resources, and the human resources. Once we decide these many resources, these many person we want to hire or recruit for this particular project, later will not change. Will not change. Even the softwares also. First only in beginning only we'll decide what types of software or what type of resources we need to use to run our application or to run our project. Each static means once we decide it is fixed. Even the structure will be fixed. Even the maintainable resources will be fixed, and the testable code as well. See, beginning only we'll tell the test engineer these are the fields you need to test. You cannot take test engineer as granted, and you cannot put a burden on him. Whatever you want, you can whatever the fields you will tell him, he should check. No, you should not tell like that. In the beginning only the contract will happen. In the beginning only they will decide what type of testing they have to do. Whether they have to do manual testing, whether they have to do automation testing, and when we do automation testing, how the testing should be carried out. When they do manual testing, how the testing should be carried out. Everything will be decided in the beginning only. And the availability of correct and complete documentation. See, whatever this is also this is also very important. Whatever the application, whatever the project, whatever the development, whatever the testing we do in any project, we should have a complete document. We should have a complete document. Without a document, a new user, in the worst case, any new user is going to join for that particular project, he will not understand what you have done. If your project has a complete documentation, then any user will understand. By seeing your document, will understand what is your project and what are the structure you have made in your project, and what are the resources you are using for your project, and what are the test cases you are writing for your project. Everything will be written in the document. So they will not face, if any new user come and see your project, they'll not face a difficulty to go through or to understand your project. So these are all the static quality attributes. Correct? So next we have a dynamic quality attribute. In a dynamic quality attribute, we have reliability, correctness, completeness, consistency, usability, and performance. See, all these you can also call it as a non-functional requirements. You can call this as a non-functional requirement. Correct? Now you already studied software engineering. Which are the non-functional requirements? Students, which are the non-functional requirements? Tell, it is already there on the screen only. Reliability, correctness, completeness, consistency, usability, and performance. These are all the dynamic quality attributes. You can also call these as a non-functional requirement. So we'll see one by one the dynamic quality attribute. Completeness. See, this completeness refers to the availability of all the features listed in the document, in the requirement. Before we start coding, first we'll make a blueprint of our project. If I am doing a project, what are the functionality of the project? If I am doing a registration form, what are the fields it should be there in the registration form? what are the validation I have to do for the registration form. Everything will be decided before only. So when we say completeness, my project should match with my desired input. So in the beginning only, I'll tell the what is my desire. Desire is nothing but what type of project I want. What is my wish? What is my requirement? Requirement will be defined in the beginning of the project only. So once the project is complete, we have to check whether all the functionality is available in the project or not, which are listed in the requirements, or in the user manual. See, here we have that point now, or in the user manual. The documentation is nothing but a user manual. Yes, students, you are getting the flow? You're getting the flow?
Yes, ma'am.
The requirements we have defined in the user manual, it should, the project should have all this. An incomplete software is one that does not fully implement all features required. So if it is not fulfilling the desired requirement, then we say it is an incomplete project. Correct, no? When we say it is an incomplete project, so that's why whatever the requirements we have defined in the user manual, the project should work on all the functionalities. If it is working on all the functionalities, then only we say it has a completeness. Correct, students? And only we say it has a completeness. If it is not fulfilling all the requirements, then it is a incomplete project or incomplete software. Understood? Next we have consistency. See, what is consistency? If I ask you what is consistency, what will be your answer? When we prepare a document, then many times we tell we have to follow the consistency. What is that? See, consistency. Yes, somebody is telling.
Format, ma'am.
Format. Okay. And the consistency.
Fixed, ma'am. Like within a particular, like somewhat.
Within a particular what?
Border.
Order.
Border. Consistency.
Border. Okay. Any other answer? Consistency refers to adhere on a common set of conventions and assumptions. See, when you prepare a document, we tell that you have to follow the consistency. If your project has 10, if you prepare a document, we'll tell that you have to follow the consistency. If your report has 10 pages of content, in one page, if you are using a font style Times New Roman, in the next page, if you are using a font style Calibri, in your third page, if you are using a font style Arial, is it a consistency? Is a new user or an unknown person come and check your document? Your document is very important. If he come and check your document, then what impression he will give? What impression he will be having? In one page you are using one font style, in other page you are using a different font style. It shows you are not done with a proper concentration or proper interest. So maybe because of some pressure, maybe to complete your work, you have done that document. So whatever a document you prepare should have a consistency. The numbering, the bulleting, you have to follow the same sequence, same order, same type. In one page for to explain the bullet points, if you give circle, in next page if you give asterisk, or in next page if you give that flower symbol, no. It should not be like that. You have to follow some common conventions. Yes. When you run a project, or when you fill any registration form, maybe the registration form has 2 or 3 pages. In one page, the text box has one color, in the next page the text box has a different color, how you feel? The user, the end user will not feel good to use that application. So that's why we tell they have to follow a consistency. Here I have given an example. For example, all buttons in the user interface might follow a common color coding conventions. If you have three buttons if you have three buttons in one page, then all the three buttons should have a same color. If first button is with red color, if second button is with green color, if third button is with blue color, then it is not showing the consistency. You have to follow the consistency. An example of inconsistency would be when a database application display the date of birth of a person in the database. The example for inconsistency is if you are displaying a date of birth, if you are displaying when a database application displays the date of birth of a person in a database. See, to display the date of birth, we have some predefined format: DD, YY, MM, or MM, DD, YY. So according to that format, predefined format only, I have to insert the data and I should display the data. So that is a consistency. If I give YY, DD, MM, then is it a correct way of giving the input? No, it is not giving a correct way of input. So whatever the input we give, we have to follow the consistency. And next we have usability and performance. So usability and performance we'll see in the next class. Students, understood? Understood, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Read.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You got a clear idea, that diagram. See, that diagram is very important. Based on that diagram only, your whole testing is there. Why we go for a testing? If a observed output is not matching with the desired output, then only we go for the testing, no? If everything is okay, everything is normal, all the output, whatever we are getting, if everything is correct, then we don't go for a testing. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So today I can see